This is Regenerative Life Wayne 69, and we are in my dragon fruit lane section of my food forest on my side patio by my pool there that I'm redoing. Um, so, what I'm doing is I just potted some dragon fruit cuttings I got by a person named Crystal Rose Quartz. You can find her on Facebook, so, so forth. And what she sent to me was some sugar dragon cuttings, and she sent me some pink delight cuttings, and I just potted up um, 8 cuttings, 4 in each pot here, and I'm gonna have to water these here in a minute and get these beauties started and get them growing. Um, I got to order some more burlap for my PVC uh, dragon fruit posts, and I do that as I've done in most of these already, so the dragon fruit air roots can climb and hold on to the post better, and they'll climb faster and grow better by doing that. So that's the purpose for that. It's not for looks. and As you can see, I have a whole lot of new pots here, clay pots, as I was saying in my other video. I get them on, every time they go on sale, I grab them. Um, I'm getting these clay pots not for the dragon fruit. Um, I'm getting them for because I'm adding on to my fruit tree orchard here, and what I'm growing here, as you can see, that have hatched. These are cashew tree seedlings that were grown from seed, and I love cashew nuts, so I'm growing them. I also just ordered some cacao. I ordered some mango. I ordered some. My brain's dead here. Some soursop, and I ordered some. One more. Let me get my brains right here. Jackfruit seeds. I ordered four of those type of seeds. I'm liking growing stuff by seed more now. Although it takes a lot longer to get fruit, and that's okay for me because I'm enjoying the process of growing my own food from seed and getting the value you can beat because the seeds are much way more cheaper than actually growing the actual tree. I mean, not actually growing the actual tree, actually buying the actual tree. Because some of these trees are expensive. Like these cashew trees start at $100 to $189 for a 2 to 3 year old tree per tree, and that's not counting shipping. So you can imagine the cost adding up. Whether I can just grow my own from seed for way like 90% cheaper, 95% cheaper. Just buy the seeds and learn how to grow them. And I enjoy watching them grow. You know, it's a beautiful process when you plant a seed and you watch that seed, what I call hatch, you want to call it sprout, from the ground and grow under under your sunlight here. It's beautiful to watch the journey from seed to that seeds growing into a tree, into that tree producing fruits or nuts, and so forth. So um, I have another section on my other side of my home that's going to be utilized for these fruit trees too. So as you can see, you can grow a lot in a small space. You don't need a whole lot of space. It's all about how you design your food forest and so forth. You don't. It's nice to have land, and I'm on that journey to purchase some land here in the rural parts of Texas here outside of Houston, and I'm going to be doing that in the near future. But you know, it's always good to learn how to grow food in smaller spaces. I think because that gives you an experience when you get a larger space and so forth. I will always container garden. Even if I get some land, I don't plan on putting things in the ground, and that's for a reason. For me, I prefer to grow in large pots and so forth because I can more control the soil. Because everywhere you buy land doesn't have good soil. So, and physically, it's easier for me to grow in containers because you don't have to do all the physical labor of bending over and all that stuff and the whole 9 yards. For people who are disabled and who are physically challenged, you can do this. There's people in wheelchairs who can garden because they're gardening in containers as versus as the ground. You know, I don't consider myself a farmer. People call themselves farmers. That's fine. You can call yourself what you want. But to me, farmers are people who grow food and sell food to the public. I consider myself a gardener or a small homesteader. I'm growing food for me to eat, not to sell. This is all for me to eat and to enjoy and so forth. Will I be able to? And as you can see, it takes a lot of food to feed a human being. You might think, wow, all those dragon fruit trees and the uh, the cashew trees he's growing in these pots, they'll you know, man, that'll feed more than one person. Actually, it won't because you know we can eat a lot as humans. You know, we can eat a lot, and you can actually preserve these things like the cashew nuts. You know, you once you dry them out and salt them, you can store them for eating later. The same with the dragon fruit. You can dehydrate the dragon fruit, dehydrate it, and put it in powder form and store it for your drinks and everything too later on in the year. So that's what I plan on doing in the near future. So I'm looking forward to planting more seeds. I'm looking forward to my new seeds getting here, so I can start planting the uh, the mango, the soursop, the jackfruit, uh, and the other one I mentioned. Just had a brain lapse there, you know, and so forth. So, and I enjoy doing this. This is good. Also good. I look at it as good for it's good therapy. Growing food is good therapy. Putting your hands in the soil, making your own soil mixes, you know. And I do make my own soil mixes. I don't buy compost. A lot of compost. I make my own mixes. Like I made this mix, you know, and I've shared what I use to make my mixes because a lot of the stuff you get in the big box stores, you know, it's not good stuff. A lot of that compost, it has trash in it, plastic. You don't know where it's coming from, and it's not really good. From what I'm learning more and more, I've learned more and more. It's not really good to plant in compost. Actually, people think it's good to plant in compost, but I've learned over time from some of the best growers who make their own soil mixes that actually, you know, people wonder why when they plant in compost, after a while their stuff is nice and green, but it dies because compost is still being on its journey to become soil, meaning that it's still been broken down by microbes and stuff that's in the compost, and that creates heat in the compost, and it takes oxygen for that process of creating that the microbes when they're eating the compost they take in oxygen, they put out heat, and the roots of your plants need oxygen, people. You know, so if you plant in compost, a lot of times your roots eventually become oxygen starved because the microbes are competing for the oxygen uh, uh, that the plant's roots need. And the plant roots eventually die and the plant dies. And people wonder why. Well, I planted into this nice compost and they were good for my plants were looking good and all of a sudden they died. Well, that's why they died. So please don't plant compost. Wait till the compost is finished. Wait till it's complete going through its process. That when it's all broken down, then you can use compost in your soil mixes, and so forth. That's what I do, and that's worked a whole lot better for me. Especially worm castings. I have my own very large earthworm farm, as you have seen. I use a lot of earthworm castings. I mix my earthworm castings with my peat. I add perlite, vermiculite. I add uh, I add a lot of things depending on what I'm planting in my mixes, and I mix that all up. I add a little black cow, a little rabbit manure. You can add a little chicken manure. Um, you can add some cocoa fiber, like I was saying before. Peat moss, of course. Half of my stuff is going to be peat moss, So um, and so forth. I can go on and on with amendments. I even add some sand um, in there. I add some charcoal in there also. There's a lot of things you can add to your own soil mixes. Soil needs to be well draining. It needs to be nutrient, but it also needs to be well draining, especially for your a lot of your stuff like your dragon fruit and your fruit trees. So it needs to be well draining, and it needs to be able to have air get into the soil so the roots can breathe. So so I know I've been rambling on, and it's a beautiful day out here. I'm going to water. I'm going to water all my dragon fruit lane, and water these new potted plants, and water the cashew treelings and everything back here, and get done with my food forest for the day. Because I like to get done in the morning time. I don't like to go past 12 o'clock when I'm doing this, because as you can see, it just gets too hot. And I have a shade cloth over this area back here to keep everything shaded so it doesn't burn up. And that's very important when you have seedling trees. Like I have these seedling trees, these cashew seedling trees. They'll burn up. They'll burn up in direct sunlight until they get big enough to where they're climated until where they can handle it more well. So if you're planting from seed, make sure you're planting under some nice shade cloth. So the trees get a chance to acclimate, and gradually you expose them more and more to the sunshine when their main leaves start coming out, where they can handle the heat a whole lot better. So this is Regenerative Wayne 69, coming to you from his backyard suburban food forest. Enjoy your day. It's a beautiful day. Get out here in the sun. Get some of that sunshine on your skin. It's good for us. We needed to process vitamin D and C and so forth. And mentally, it's good for us. If you are depressed, a lot of people are depressed now because what's going on with the economy, high inflation, it's causing all kinds of problems, and people are stressed out. Get outside into your food forest and breathe some fresh air, drink some tea, drink plenty of water, and just meditate. And man, it does wonders. It will do wonders. People don't know that if we had more people growing their own food, imagine the less violence we would have in the world. The violence would probably go down by 70%. I guarantee you, 80% probably, or even more. That it's they've done research on this. People who grow their own food, meditate and all that, they're more happier people. I know we're all human. When I go through my trials and tribulations, I put my hand in soil. It works for me. So I'm going to sign off. Please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. Have a beautiful, beautiful evening.